The VW Polo Vivo is one of the best-selling cars in South Africa, especially among first-time car buyers who are usually inexperienced drivers. Despite this, Vivos were sold with only 2 airbags and no electronic stability control, ESC. It's illegal to sell a car in Europe without ESC. It's no surprise, then, that in 2024, Global NCAP gave it a disappointing crash test rating of only 2 stars for adult occupants. The facelifted Vivo now comes with ESC as standard, and, in typical VW fashion, the side head thorax airbags are now optional. In 2024, Global NCAP rated the facelifted Polo Vivo, unlike its predecessor. It got 4 stars for adult occupant protection. Let's talk about what they didn't test before we look at those crash test results. Global NCAP did not test the crash safety of the Vivo for passengers in the second row that are older than 3 years. So, grandma and other second-row passengers, you are on your own. They did not test whiplash protection. A full-width frontal test was not done either because it's not required. Before we look at the crash test results, let's browse through the list of safety equipment. Fortunately, the executives at VW, ever mindful of our short attention span, kept the list of standard items short. Front airbags, seatbelt pretensioners, and load limiters are standard for the driver and his buddy. And so are seatbelt reminders, ESC, which is a legal requirement in Europe and USA, and ISOFIX for outboard seats. With no curtain airbags, the executives must have figured that budget buyers can't have it all and should accept a greater risk of head injury or death in the event of a side crash. There's no autonomous emergency braking AEB either. This is a budget car, so there's no pesky advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS. Besides, you don't need that in Africa, because the car comes equipped with a sonic alert obstruction remover, a hooter, and it's standard. Now, to the crash test results. In the frontal offset deformable barrier test, protection for the driver dummy's knees was rated as marginal. All other areas, for both front occupants, were either good or adequate. In the side movable deformable barrier test, the results were more alarming. Protection for the dummy's head was rated as weak, and chest protection was rated as marginal. However, the side pole impact test was done with a Vivo fitted with the optional thorax head airbag, showed good protection for the dummy's head, but protection for the chest was still rated as marginal. If your Vivo does not have this optional extra safety feature, your results would be much, much worse. In fact, Global NCAP does not even bother to do the test if there's no thorax head airbag, probably because the results would be obvious. The Vivo's body shell remained stable, which is good, but that is only helpful if you are crashing into another small vehicle. When you crash into a larger vehicle, then it's another story altogether.
All other things being equal, people in larger, heavier cars will fare better in their crashes than people in smaller, lighter cars. In a crash between a small, lightweight car and a heavier one, the smaller car is driven backwards. That means higher forces on the occupants of the smaller car and lower ones on the occupants of the bigger one. The Toyota Yaris gets a good rating in our frontal offset test. In a head-on crash with another mini car at these speeds, it would do well. But as you can see, Against the larger and heavier Camry, the occupant compartment basically collapsed. We have buckles in the roof here, and the door sill is bent toward the ground. In a real-world crash like this, the driver of the Yaris would sustain serious injuries. By comparison, the driver of the Camry would fare much better.
Here you can see the difference on the level of kinetic energy you are likely to experience at 64 kilometers per hour, 80 kilometers per hour, and 90 kilometers per hour. Global NCAP awarded the Vivo only 3 stars for child occupants under 3 years of age, because 3-point seatbelts were not available in all seating positions as standard, inadequate warning markings about using rearward-facing child restraint systems, CRS, in the front passenger seats. You can't disconnect the front passenger airbag. CRS installation in the front seat failed for one CRS and failed for all CRS on the second row central position, as it has a 2-point seatbelt as standard. The Vivo offers good value for money. However, it's a pity that VW did not include curtain airbags, 3-point belts, and seatbelt pretensioners and load limiters for all seat positions, and at least AEB. That would have really set the cat among the pigeons. So, if I were single and had to choose a Polo Vivo, then I would go for the facelifted Vivo from this VIN number upwards, as it has ESC, and I would select as many optional airbags as possible. I would also let second-row passengers older than 3 years know that the risks, if we were in an accident, are unknown, so it's a case of tata ma chance. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more truth bombs on car safety. Until next time, keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel, because in a Polo Vivo, you might be doing all the safety work yourself. Peace out.